Recently, I was talking to a couple of mentees who applied with ISB in the previous admission cycle, and they signed up with us this year for our help. And both of them gave me a very similar and a very important insight. They said that Sarthak, we were shortlisted for the interview, and the interview went really well, but the feedback that we got from ISB, the admissions team, was that we lacked depth in our work experience related answers. And both of them had one thing in common. They had switched workplaces, they had changed their place of work, switched jobs 2 months before the application deadline. And when I probed further, both of them told me that yes, as soon as the interviewers saw us, they started asking us questions on our recent projects, deliverables, the work that we do, our day to day, our job role, our KPI in the current workplace, in the latest workplace, which they had joined broadly 3 months before their interviews happened. And since only 3 months had lapsed since their joining date, despite their best efforts, they were not able to articulate very strong work ex or experience or performance pointers. And that gave me a very strong insight that a lot of people say कि doesn't matter कि आप job change कर लो before you apply for a B school, doesn't matter. But in the interviews, everybody is inclined, everybody has a penchant for asking you questions about your most recent workplace. So if your tenure in your most recent workplace is merely 3 months, then despite whatever you do, however you articulate it, you will not be able to give very good deep answers, right? Because तीन महीने में कुछ भी नहीं होता. You're in your training period or orientation हुई होती है, तो nothing happens. So my advice to you is, if you really want to switch jobs, change jobs, that's not a problem. But change jobs by January, February, March, or April. Because by the time you give interviews, you should have spent at least 6 months in your current workplace so that you could have been a part of at least one project or deliverable. Now, I was also of the assumption earlier कि यार कोई नहीं, क्या फर्क पड़ता है, job change कर लिया. But when both of these mentees gave me this same insight, then I scratched my head and I said, okay, फर्क पड़ता है. Job change करना in the year when you're applying for ISB or any other school is fine, but have a cutoff date in your mind. For example, if Sarthak has worked with Deloitte for the last 4 years and he is applying for ISB in September 2025, he'll most likely have interviews in November. So Sarthak should change his job latest by April or May. Because by the time November comes, he should have at least 6 months of experience in his current workplace. Let's say it's Razorpay. Otherwise, it will cause a lot of unintended problems for you in the interview. अब मान लो आपने 4 साल Deloitte में बिताए, फिर आपने 2 महीने Razorpay में बिताए और फिर आपका इंटरव्यू आ गया. अब वो Razorpay के ऊपर क्वेश्चंस तो पूछेंगे ही पूछेंगे. Even if it's 1 or 2 questions that signal enough for them to form an impression on you. मान लो उन्होंने आपसे 10 सवाल पूछे वर्कएक्स के ऊपर, पहले 2 सवाल आपसे Razorpay पे पूछे, उनको लगा कि यार ये जो आंसर्स दे रहे हैं दैट इज अ टिपिकल चैट जीपीटी आंसर. आई कुड नॉट गेट एनी इंसाइट इनटू व्हाट वाज योर रोल, what kind of fintech offerings did you work on, was your role ops centric or tech centric. तो फिर उनका इंप्रेशन फर्स्ट 2 क्वेश्चंस के आंसर्स में बन जाएगा. So despite your best efforts on answering in a very strong, in a very compelling manner for the remaining 8 questions on Deloitte, they would have formed an opinion on you. And first impression बहुत matter करता है in life and in a B school interview. So change jobs only if it's absolutely necessary. And change करना ही है तो मार्च और अप्रैल तक चेंज कर लो. उसके बाद चेंज करोगे तो इंटरव्यू में प्रॉब्लम होगा. तो 6 months का गैप होना चाहिए फ्रॉम योर इंटरव्यू एंड when you started working with your organization. That's the rule of thumb that I have, because irrespective of it being a startup or a conglomerate, 6 महीने में you at least cover one project or deliverable that you can talk about अच्छे से in your B school interviews. I hope this helps you and I'll see you very soon.